Welcome to another episode of the Wisconsin Chiropractic Association podcast, Back to Basics. My name is Chris Resch. I'm a chiropractor and I'm president of the Wisconsin Chiropractic Association and your host for today's episode titled Looking Back in Time, Memories of Life in a Chiropractic Home. So recently, I had the privilege of sitting down for a reflective conversation with two remarkable sisters, Carol and Connie. Carol is 81 and Connie is 78. They are the daughters of the late chiropractor Dr. Wilmer Jung, practiced in Neenah, Wisconsin from the early 1940s well into the 1980s. Together, they revisited what it was like growing up in a chiropractic home. And when I say chiropractic home, I literally mean a home office combination where everyday life and dad's practice blended seamlessly. The two sisters share fond memories of watching their father help so many people in the community and then the joy of tagging along on family trips when he attended chiropractic seminars. They also remember their mother as the heart of the office. She was the office manager who cared for the staff, connected deeply with the patients, and embodied the same support systems very similar to what we rely on every day in our practices. As the conversation unfolded, a couple things struck me. Plenty has changed in chiropractic since back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, but what also surprised me is how similar some things in chiropractic remain the same. And as we got through our conversation, it was very evident that family memories can be some of the most powerful influences in a child's life. Here I am talking to two sisters in their late 70s and 80s, and they continue to be impacted by the legacy that their father left behind, and it will continue with them forever. And there were definitely a few teaching moments along the way. Carol and Connie remember how their father was truly a gifted chiropractic adjuster. Someone who wasn't afraid to get the job done, get in there, and get after it. And Carol, the older of the two sisters, has lived all over the country. She's gone to chiropractors her entire life, several after her father passed, and she clearly states that we don't always see that kind of chiropractic touch in today's chiropractic adjusters. It was kind of a hard truth to take, one that I considered not including in this podcast, but one that I think we all need to hear. Maybe that's a message that's worth letting sink in. Anyway, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Carol and Connie, two proud daughters of a chiropractic legend, Dr. Wilmer Jung. Well, ladies, thank you very much for joining me today. I've obviously got Carol and Connie here, and both daughters of Dr. Wilmer Jung, who practiced in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So quite a legacy of chiropractic in Neenah, Wisconsin. So Carol, I understand you're 81 years old.
Yes.
And why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised here, but I moved shortly after I married when I was 21. So I've lived on the East Coast, West Coast, and several places in between. I've moved many different times, various places. I was divorced once and married, and he died, and they both died. That's pretty awful. Send along here, but that's
part of life, right?
Isn't it though? And so I'm single now.
So you lived in the homestead in Neenah in a chiropractic family. At what age were you when you moved up and out?
21.
21 years old.
See, I'm sorry, but I do have to tell I told you I have amnesia.
Yeah.
And I can't remember some things.
Yeah, you took a little fall recently and you're struggling with a little memory right now.
You bet.
Well, we're going to pull as much out of you as we can.
To do it. But I know she can help.
Well, she being Connie, your sister, 3 years younger than you, 78 years old. And Connie, you stuck around Neenah, Wisconsin, and actually worked in your father's office for a number of years. But let's hear a little bit about you, Connie.
Okay, well, 78 years old and been married for going on 60 years.
All right.
Wow. Got married when I was 18.
Sure. And here you are today.
Here I am today.
Ready to tell us all about your father's legacy and practice.
What I can remember.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're reflecting on the life of Dr. Wilmer Jung, but before we dig deeper into Dr. Jung's story, I want to give our listeners a quick, easy picture of the school he graduated from because it doesn't exist anymore, and the history is actually pretty interesting. So Dr. Jung earned his chiropractic degree in the 1940s from Lincoln Chiropractic College. Lincoln was founded back in the 1920s by a group of 4 chiropractors who were professors at Palmer College of Chiropractic in Davenport, Iowa, and they wanted to put together a school with a stronger science training background. So at the time, chiropractic education was still developing, and a number of new colleges were popping up to try and shape what the profession should look like. Lincoln was one of those schools, and again, it focused heavily on the sciences, primarily anatomy and physiology, maybe a little bit less on philosophy. By the time Dr. Jung was there around 1942, Lincoln was a well-established, reputable chiropractic college. But as the decades moved on, the landscape of chiropractic education started shifting, accreditation requirements tightened up, scientific expectations increased, and many of the smaller schools found it hard to stay financially viable. Lincoln Chiropractic College continued teaching until 1971 when it graduated its final class. Again, Dr. Jung graduated back in around 1942. After Lincoln closed, all of the records of its educational legacy were taken over by National College of Chiropractic in Lombard, Illinois, a larger, more established school that could preserve everything going forward. And then in 2000, National College of Chiropractic expanded its programs and officially became National University of Health Sciences. So even though Lincoln Chiropractic College is gone, Dr. Jung's academic records live on today through National University of Health Sciences in Lombard. So that's Dr. Jung's academic story. Both of you were born after your father was already a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any recollection of what inspired your father to become a chiropractor?
Pretty much, I think, made his decision was that he had an injury and got very interested in chiropractic as opposed to other medical kinds of treatments to correct his neck injury.
So I'm assuming if he practiced that long, what year did your father pass?
He passed in 86.
In 86?
Mm-hmm.
So if your father passed away when he was 67 and he, in 1986, and had a 40-year or 40-plus year career, he must have been in his early 20s or late teens when he was in college. Mm-hmm. And prior to that, he had an injury. So he must have had an injury back when he was in high school.
Right.
Do you know what kind of injury he had?
He ran into a barbed wire fence, some barbed wire fencing,
and
it caught him in the neck, and he had a lot of problems with his neck for a while. And I think that's when he was looking, and chiropractic was just coming out around that time, wasn't it? And it was very, very new.
Yeah, chiropractic was discovered in 1895, mm-hmm. and then it had to be developed and mm-hmm. then turned into a school, and then chiropractors came out. And so somewhere along the lines there, probably in the late 20s or 30s is when your father must have been exposed to chiropractic.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. And
so then fast forward, you two have childhood memories of growing up in a chiropractic home.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, your father's practice was a home office combination. So correct. All in one.
Mm-hmm.
The office was on the first floor. Family homestead was on the second floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's your first recollection of your father being a chiropractor?
When we got adjusted.
All right.
No, truly, because he did adjust us very young, which he always continued to do with people would bring in their young children to be, adjusted. And he really did. He was a good one.
So did you think every dad was a chiropractor back then when you were just a little kid?
No, I just felt every good dad.
Oh, there you go. That's great. That's awesome. So you recall getting adjusted when you were just a little girl, mm-hmm. both of you. Mm-hmm. And what about your recollection of patients coming to the house, which was his office? What was that like?
We never heard.
No, actually, when I was real little, I never really understood that there were a lot of people coming in because we were upstairs all the time. But when we did go downstairs, we would just walk through the waiting room most of the time.
No, we'd go out.
If you wanted to talk to mom, I'm referring to. Yeah, if you wanted to talk to mom, and because she worked for dad, so most of the time we stayed away from the office part of it when we were younger.
Yeah. So your mother was his receptionist
and did all
assistant in the office. Mm-hmm. That was her role. Were there other people that worked in the office mm-hmm. as well? This is back when you were a child.
Right. This is when I was a child. They had, I think, 3 other people. I think it was Phyllis, Addie, Vi,
and mom.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So patients would come in Do you recall what type of hours your dad worked, as far as what time he started seeing patients in the morning and how late he would continue patient care throughout the day and evening?
8 o'clock
until eight or so at night.
8, 9, and sometimes 10.
So,
It
yeah.
depended on how.
He it depended, but he always had Thursdays off.
Mhm.
Right.
And
The classic Thursday off.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
I wondered about it because didn't you say you had Thursdays?
It's pretty common in chiropractic. We want to see patients on Monday because it's coming off the weekend,
Right.
and we want to see patients on Fridays, so they're
So it's
feeling
a
good for the
combination.
weekend. So,
Must have been practiced in school.
and I think a lot of the classes that chiropractors went to were held on Thursdays for
Okay.
continuing education purposes. So it just kind of seems like a natural day where chiropractors are off if they're going to take the time off during the week. But
Yeah, he also had Tuesday afternoons off.
all right.
So he just worked on Tuesday mornings.
Okay, so he'd start at 8 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
and he would just see patients until the last patient was done being seen, and that could be
And
8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Mom would sometimes have to say, "Here, take this down to your dad." We'd have to give him food because he wouldn't have time to come up. He was busy all the time.
He was just busy all day long.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever recall any time on the weekends or holidays when the phone would ring and they would want to see Dr. Wilmer for an adjustment?
All the time.
All the time?
And he went when he was younger, he went to a lot of homes. He had a portable adjusting table that he would
Mhm.
take along.
So he did house
And
calls.
yes, he did. He did house calls, and if they could come in, they would come. He'd take them on weekend too.
All right.
And
That was at the beginning.
yeah, so he was busy all the time. They even called him when he was up at the cottage, but that he didn't give up.
Okay. All right. So back in the day, did you have like a different phone line for the office and for your personal residence, or was it all just one phone?
All one.
All
Yeah,
one.
I never could figure that out.
No,
Maybe they just didn't do that then. I don't know.
I don't know, but
It doesn't surprise me that it was just one phone line.
Mhm.
All right. So, as young daughters at the time, did you have any office duties? Did you clean the office when you were younger, or did you have to do any filing or anything like that?
no, Mom was pretty good at doing all the filing, and we did have a
housekeeping.
cleaning
The
lady that came in,
housekeeping, yeah.
and
All right.
we did it 2, 3 times a week, I think. And if there was something that needed to be done other days, yes, we did fill it a bit, but it was pretty well taken care of
Okay.
by people that worked for him and things. So no, we didn't have to do much for that.
And I'm always interested in the dress attire of a chiropractor as it's evolved. I'm a
yeah.
chiropractor that I've been in practice for 35 years. When I first was in practice, it was expected to be, wear a tie
Mm,
every day to work. Do you recall your dad's working attire? Was
had a uniform.
He had a
did.
uniform?
He had a
Buttoned
A
on the
white.
side, yeah.
white. And
Oh, so it was
had that every day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like a lab type?
Yeah, except it was
Just a
off
short
to the side and a
finish,
short
yeah,
kind of
different.
thing.
Very
So-
clearly a clinical type of
Yeah.
coat or cover up
Mhm.
And
for a shirt.
as a matter of fact, he had everyone that worked for him do the same thing. They all wore a white, a nurse kind of thing.
Mhm.
All right. Well, okay, so you mentioned nurse. Let's talk about your recollection of how well chiropractic was accepted back then in the health field area. So, in today's age, we have medical doctors referring patients to chiropractors. We have chiropractors working with the medical community. There's chiropractors that are on staff at hospitals. So back in the 1940s and 50s, was it like that?
They did not like chiropractic at all.
So it was a little bit of a turf war, maybe?
I think it was more than turf war.
Yeah.
But I think it's what helped turned me into a nurse, is that I felt, hey, my dad was a chiropractor and I can be a nurse. I mean, it's like try to glue the two together, somehow, which I could see a lot of. As I was in nursing school, I'd say, why don't you go see a chiropractor? That kind of thing, because I knew the difference.
So did you experience firsthand being a nurse, how chiropractic evolved and became more common when it came to healthcare?
Well, I always thought of it as healthcare, always.
Right.
And when I went into nursing, I would say to certain people, have you ever tried chiropractic? Because it can really help you with blah, 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 blah. I mean, I wasn't hesitant to bring up the fact that I knew what a chiropractor was and that they could really be beneficial.
Sure. What do you remember as far as your father's equipment or techniques? obviously he was doing chiropractic adjustments.
Mhm.
And some chiropractors pretty much held to only doing adjustments back in those days. Some chiropractors were more progressive and had other modes of therapy like ultrasound and
Mhm.
other equipment.
Yeah,
Right.
he had a plasmatic, he had diathermy, ultrasonic, X-ray, and the traction table, and then the electrocardiogram.
All right. Wow. So he had a lot of equipment that I would consider to be more progressive back then.
Mhm.
And that might have some of the influence on going to Lincoln College of Chiropractic.
Mhm.
That was a school that definitely was more progressive in areas above and beyond the chiropractic adjustment than, say, Palmer College, where chiropractic was initially started and developed.
Oh, okay. You answered my question. I was curious which one was first.
Oh, all right. Gotcha. So, what about from a business standpoint? So, your father was not only a healthcare provider in the community, but he was also a business owner. Do you recall your dad talking much about the business side of things, like going to the bank or any
know more
of
about that than I would.
buying land or the home or adding on to the home or that type of thing?
Eventually, and around around the first part of the 60s, he did buy a cottage.
Oh, you did?
Mhm.
All right.
And other than that, all I remember is my mother saying, "Oh, I'm going to the bank," and that was about it.
Going to the bank, depositing that
Yes,
cash.
Or
yeah.
we'd be sent.
Or we said, yeah, that's right. We did. We did go when we had cars when we were younger.
Mhm.
So, growing up, do you remember the cost of a chiropractic adjustment?
She would.
Yes, it was $5.
$5 for a chiropractic treatment.
Right. And
And
when
that
he-
could include anything.
that was everything.
anything.
That was
that
So, if
needed-
someone came in for the first visit, they were examined, maybe an x-ray was taken, and an
That I
adjustment.
really can't
that
remember
was
if it
extra,
was
but-
extra. That part I don't remember, but I know his regular appointments were $5. And when he eventually had that one table, the traction table, that
Yeah.
he did charge $1.
He charged an extra dollar
Yeah.
for traction.
Right.
So $5 for the adjustment,
Mhm.
$6 if you get the traction.
Right. And that was that was probably into the late 50s that he started when he had the traction table.
I see. Do you have any recollection of how many patients he would see in an hour or throughout the course of the day? Was it a
Well,
whole
it
schedule full?
Sometimes the whole schedule would be full all day and it was usually every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes he'd see another patient?
Hmm.
All right.
And that's how he sometimes fall behind because there was somebody that wanted to talk more and he was not one to just shut somebody up and say, I got to get out of here. I got to go
Yeah.
next patient. So
Was it always a financial exchange? Did your father ever barter?
no,
Was it always,
that I'm aware
was
of.
always a
Yeah.
financial exchange? And insurance really didn't come into the chiropractic picture until sometime into the 70s.
Yeah. There were a few back in the 60s that it started because I know he didn't like having to fill out all the paperwork
For the insurance?
with the insurance.
That hasn't changed, by the way.
That he didn't care for as much. And mom, I think, usually was the one that did a lot of the filling out.
For the paperwork, for the insurance.
Mhm.
But so you have some recollection of insurance
Yes.
influencing chiropractic and
Yeah.
reimbursement back then?
And I think that's when they went up to a little bit. I think they went up to $7. And maybe it was just $7 for those that had insurance. I don't
Right.
have a clue on that one. But just to make up for some of the time.
And then you ended up, as you grew up and after high school, working in the office?
Mhm. Off and on. I didn't do a lot of it, but when my mom was gone, she was gone for the week thing, and then I would fill in. If the one that usually came in the evening couldn't be there, I'd fill in there for two.
All right.
Too.
Do you recall from a business standpoint if you would consider your dad had a very successful practice? Like as you grew up, did you feel that you were middle class or did you feel that you were economically higher or lower than middle class? Or do you have any recollection of that?
If we were higher than middle class, it was never shown.
Okay.
I don't think we ever felt we ever had a need or
No, we never felt that we had a need for
No.
anything, but we never felt like we were rich or anything like that.
So very normal upbringing as
Mhm.
far as you didn't feel like you were poor,
No, I wouldn't say we
And-
felt like we were poor.
which you probably weren't if your
Yeah.
parents bought a cottage up
Yeah.
north.
And there were many people at the time, and I don't know if that's in any of these questions or not, but it's many people during that time. I could hear from some people say, "Oh, they're quacks."
There is
It's a
that.
biggie. That
Yeah.
was a biggie, and that hurt. And I thought, I just thought these people just are ignorant and they don't understand and they don't know. But that was said. Did you hear it? I don't know. I was a little older than
Mhm.
she was, so
So did you hear that from your friends talking about your dad's a
friends
chiropractor?
friends would say that if they had heard it from their parents.
I see.
It wasn't a thing because many of the people that we did go to school with, their parents were patients of
Right.
my mom, of my dad, I mean. And so it was just some people that just wanted to be just mean, in my opinion.
Kids being
Just
kids.
kids
I
being
think it's a lot.
kids.
The kids that were saying it were the ones that maybe had parents that were doctors.
Well, and
And
that could be too. That was there was a big thing with if you were a DR, that was not a DC was never thought of as a doctor,
Right. Right.
at the time.
Do you recall how your dad would feel about that? Would he just not pay attention to that, or did he get a little uptight about chiropractic and the lack of respect?
Dad would let let us know how he felt about it verbally.
Okay.
us know, but not
Oh, he let
not
us
outside the
know.
Right.
family.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you probably witnessed so many people get so much relief and
Oh yeah.
benefit from your dad's treatment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So along those lines, Connie, what can you tell me about your recollection of your dad and helping other people?
Well, I know that one lady, I was coming home from school and I looked in the driveway of the parking lot and there was an ambulance there. It scared me. I didn't
Right.
know what was going on. And they had, when I walked into through the office, because I was curious to see what, instead of going to the side door, I went through the waiting room, and the attendants were sitting there, kind of waiting for her. And she had them. She demanded that they bring her to Dad.
Oh, she wanted an ambulance trip to
Well, yeah, they wanted
your
to take her
dad's
to the
office?
hospital because she had fallen,
I see.
and she would demanded that she bring Dr. Young first. So they brought her there, and she couldn't walk in, but she walked out.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
I don't know if they took her home or what happened after that. That's all I heard about it.
But
she walked out and she
she
couldn't walk in.
she was brought into the office via ambulance and walked out under her own power.
Mm-hmm.
That made you quite proud of your father.
Oh, yes, very much, very much. And you had one about a friend too. I mean, somebody that you met in Texas.
All right, Carol, how about you? Do you have any special stories or remembrance of your father helping someone
I did.
that struck you?
I was living in Texas at the time, and I was at church, and I met this friend who introduced herself to me, and we were just talking about things, and it got around to our parents, I guess, what'd your parents do or where you're from? And I said I was from Neenah. And she said, oh, Neenah. She knew somebody in Neenah, and she told me who it was, and it happened to be my dad. And she said that she went to him, and that when she said she could walk again because of him.
Wow.
So I thought, well, I liked my dad in the first place, but that's like overboard.
So again, another proud moment for you and
Yeah,
your father.
right.
So,
Mhm.
so you obviously learned things from your father and probably your mother too. So
Mhm.
she was the office manager.
Yeah.
Can either one of you tell any stories about things you've learned from your father that you carried on and maybe you've helped people with? Carol, do you have anything?
Well, because I went into nursing, yeah, I always stressed to people when I felt that it looked as though a chiropractor could help them better than what we were doing. Always offer that out. I don't think I ever got fired from anybody for doing
Okay,
that.
that's good.
But yeah, I did carry that always through that their chiropractic was extremely valuable and passed that along to many patients that I had.
Sure. What about your sister? Do you have anything that Connie learned from your dad?
Everything. I think. No, she was she did most of the work. I went on to school and she was still at home. So she would work down with him more closely
Right.
than I ever did. She's got his strong hands. I think she really can dig into somebody's shoulders and back and really relieve stress. She does a good job.
So she learned from your dad how to find the tight spots in the muscles
You
and
bet she did.
really learned how to work that out.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Connie?
I try.
Yeah, she
tries.
She does. She still does.
What are some of the really fond memories that you have about your dad being a chiropractor?
Constantly knocking on his door to ask him. It has nothing to do with this being a chiropractor, though. It was just saying, Dad, is it okay if I go to blah, blah, blah? Or can somebody spend the night? Mom said I should ask you. And Mom, she ask your father. It was always a back and forth situation.
Sure.
Because it was so close, upstairs, downstairs. It was a constant thing.
So you'd ask your mom upstairs at home, and
Yes,
she'd send you downstairs to the
ask your
office.
dad like it was a big deal. I mean,
Did you have to interrupt him in between patients?
Mhm.
Or
we'd
did you wait
knock on
until-
the door, and if he'd say I'm busy, we'd just let it go until he'd come out. But he'd always come out, and he did a good job, asking, following through with our interfering with him.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never was mad or anything about
Mm-mm.
that. He'd open the door and, Dad, can I have so-and-so come over, or can I do this? What did your mother say? She said to ask you. Okay. And that was it.
It was like I'm
It was
not
actually
going
a kind
into
of a way
that.
to it's kind of a way to get away with doing it, because Dad
Mhm.
very seldom said no.
Mhm.
So we learned to play. It's the game.
Any other proud moments of your father being a chiropractor?
When I think about it, I think about just the number of people that he helped and that just adored him, really.
Mhm.
Oh, he did so much for me. You'd hear from many people that you didn't even really know until they knew who we were, like our last name. Or they'd say, oh my gosh, is your dad? Yes, the chiropractor. Oh, I went to him. He was fantastic, and he did. We always heard good things,
Mhm.
really good things.
Yeah, I don't
about
think
him.
I've ever heard anything bad about
Never.
Dad. So
I didn't either.
So you had a great reputation in the community,
Mhm.
and that had to give you a lot of sense of
Absolutely.
feeling proud of
Very
him.
proud.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You both continue to see chiropractors today,
Mhm.
mhm.
several years after your father's been gone.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you've noticed how chiropractic has evolved or changed?
I have found that they are not as aggressive as my dad was, and in my opinion, that is wrong. I like somebody who gets in there and gets the job done and does it, and I mean, he did a wonderful job, but he was, I would say, more of an aggressive
Yeah.
He wasn't
personality.
shy about getting in there and
No.
moving some bones.
No, but he knew I always felt Dad always knew what he was doing. And he wasn't gonna force it. He knew his patients well
Yeah.
too.
So he was a hands-on chiropractic
much so.
adjuster.
Very much so. Mhm.
Now, I don't think we ever mentioned this, but Dad did have gowns for all the women to wear.
Mhm.
So the back was open,
Sure.
so he could go down the whole spine and check
Mhm.
each vertebrae as
Sure.
he went down to see if there was anything that needed to be corrected.
Sure. So he was very particular in
Mhm.
his assessment process.
Right. And he didn't just do one spot here, one spot there. He would go down the whole thing. Then he would do the hips. He would do the rest of the back. He'd do the neck.
Mhm. He ended up doing, I swear, everything. I mean, did some people's ankles and
Oh, yeah.
things, and
Mhm.
adjust their ankles and
Knees, ankles, arms.
he had a
elbows.
lot of some of the kids from school even would come in with sports
Sports
kinds
injuries,
of
and he would help them out.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He made back then in the 50s, I know he made like a brace more or less out of gauze and tape for somebody that might have had an ankle injury. So it would stay in that position when
Sure.
they would walk. And he made that right while the guy was right there. Or
So
one
he
person's right there.
fabricated his own
Right, yes.
molds and
Mhm.
made a support or a
Mhm.
brace out of it.
Mhm.
All right. Very cool. What about X-ray? He had an X-ray machine.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you recall him showing you X-rays, or do you
Oh,
recall like
I remember
back
being
then?
in the developing room with him because he had
Mm.
this one little room off of the
Place
in the
he
back
had,
area, and
take x-rays the first day, and then he would have to develop them in those tanks at night,
Right.
and then make sure he timed it out right, and the chemicals were the way they were supposed to be, and then the pictures were ready the next day.
Right. And once we got in there, we weren't allowed to leave until it was done because we couldn't open the door.
Yeah.
Right.
We had to keep it closed. So yeah. But I remember I wanted to know what he was doing, so I had to go in with him a few times.
Do you ever remember accidentally opening the door and letting light get in? And
No, that I did not do
Okay.
because he said, "No, do not open that door." So, and then a lot of times we even developed black and white photos that we back then colored photos weren't really that much, but
Sure.
and so we sometimes we do develop our own photos.
Okay.
She did that. I never did that.
Clyde was a good one for that.
Must
Our
have been.
brother.
So tell me about life outside the office. Like your father, did he have to go to seminars outside of the area?
I know he'd come back from some places, but
Yeah.
a lot of times we would go with him, but
Right. Yeah.
and make it a vacation. If we were going to California, he was going to a seminar or something there, we would make it a vacation. We had relatives in California, and
Oh, wow.
so
Yeah.
Big trips.
yeah,
All right.
we'd
So
make
we
a,
enjoyed those.
oh, yes.
We enjoyed those things.
One time we went to, I think it was it was California, and he was going to a seminar down there, and his ultrasonic machine broke. So he brought it along because he had purchased it from somebody in California, and we went to the store, and the store wasn't open, but it had a number to call. We called the number, and they invited us to bring it over to their house. We took it over to their house. We ended up having dinner with them, and we were able to swim in their swimming pool, and
Wow.
we met Truman Bradley, science fiction theater back in the 50s. We met him. He was the next door neighbor.
Wow.
So,
So I bet you haven't thought about that in a while.
Oh.
Well, Carol, you mentioned that as far as how chiropractic has changed from then till now, is you wish chiropractors today were as aggressive as your father was.
Mhm.
So, Connie, I'm going to ask you now,
mhm.
how do you feel chiropractic has either changed or evolved over the many years?
Well, I think after I've come here for adjustments and everything, because you helped me a lot, that it's gotten better, and they're accepted now where they weren't before, and you've expanded more, especially you here because you've expanded now on the exercise programs, and normally wasn't thought about back then.
Sure. So, Carol, you seem to be a little bit more outspoken about how things have changed. If you had to speak for your father, what do you think your dad would say about chiropractic today?
Oh, about it today. Oh, I don't know. I think he was such a progressive, in my opinion, as far as what he would do and what he felt would work for somebody, right? And I felt that too many chiropractors today are kind of wishy-washy. Now, I've been to a number of them, and they're like afraid to touch you sometimes, And I just feel like Dad just did a great job for so many people, and I just can't see how a lot of people. And I mean, I've lived a lot of places all over the country, and I've always seen a chiropractor wherever I've been, and I thought, I never go back to that one again. I wonder what he ever does for
Sure.
people.
Sure.
They don't seem to get to the. Maybe I'm used to the cracking bone piece, but I figure if they can't do that, they're not getting anything to move. What are they doing? Then they're just not just but a physical therapist, in my opinion.
Right.
Connie,
do you have a feeling of what your dad would feel about chiropractic today?
Oh, I think he would be happy that it's expanded as much as it has, and grown to be more common grounds for people getting better.
Right.
And I think that his procedures were far beyond what a lot of the other ones were back then, and that he was very much interested in a lot more things than what
progressive.
Yeah.
He was more progressive.
And I think he would be very happy with the way things are now as far as being accepted.
Well,
and I think he would want people to be and see chiropractors
oh yeah,
before they decide on surgeries and other things that could be more permanent damage to them, if that makes any sense. So,
all right. So all this talk about your dad, we can't forget about your mom. So, Connie, do you have a favorite mom story?
well, let's see. My mom was working in the office as the receptionist and the helper of the other equipment. And People would come in and they'd love to sit and talk with her. She was a very good listener, and she just always wanted to listen to people, and they really loved her for that. They really did. And one patient did come in and say, even if Dr. Young couldn't take me as a patient, I'd still come in and talk to you. So I thought that was really nice. And she always would decorate the office to make it Christmassy or Easter or whatever holiday was. It just made it more homey and comfortable for people. And people did comment on that. They felt very relaxed. And they loved it when us kids came in too, because they would talk with us as kids. As kids. Well, they enjoyed it. Some said, "Oh, I got grandkids, but they're far away," and so they would ask what we were doing at school, and it became like a family with a lot of visits. Yeah.
So she was a mom, and she was also the office manager.
Right. That's correct.
Well, let's get to your dad, and let's wrap this up. And can you tell me some lasting impressions or favorite memories of your father?
My dad was very strong and strict about certain things, even though he didn't say a lot, and like he would usually try to divert things to mom. But he had definite views, and very much so on chiropractic. He was really committed, his work. He was very committed to that, and always listening and trying to find out new things, which is why I think we went so frequently to seminars and whatever that involved him. So I think he advanced with the age, but never forgot how to adjust.
Right.
He did a great job adjusting. He really did.
Sounds like quite a man, quite a chiropractor.
He really was. Yeah,
I agree.
Well, ladies, Carol and Connie, I want to thank you very much for bringing the memories to our members here and talking about your father again, who practiced chiropractic from the 40s up until into the 80s. Quite a legacy, quite a career, and quite a man. So thank you very much for sharing that time with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.